What's happening, folks? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to the last starting 11 prediction of the season for tomorrow's Scottish Cup final at Hampden against Aberdeen. I'm just back for Canada. I'm struggling with the jet lag, but can't wait for this game tomorrow. What a prospect for the team, the chance to go and wrap up another domestic treble, what would be a sixth domestic treble in 9 years. It would continue this remarkable period, this historical period of dominance that we are currently living through. It's against Aberdeen. We've had good results against them all season, and I think much of the talk going into this game, particularly after that 5-1 win at Pittodrie last week, is that we're just going to turn up and win 3, 4, 5. And I think as long as the players and the manager don't have that mindset and they go with the intent to perform to a high level tomorrow, we should be able to get the job done. I suppose I should touch on the two games that I missed. The boys did brilliantly in my absence on the content. I managed to catch most of it, as I say, when I was over in Canada. I think they did brilliant. Here I am back with you. You're going to have to put up with me this weekend. First of all, there was that 5-1 win at Pittodrie. I think it was a strange starting 11. I didn't predict there'd be that many changes, but brilliant to see such a dominant performance, such a big result, despite so many changes to the team. James Forrest was brilliant on the night. Jan got on the score sheet, Mike Nawrocki got on the score sheet, and Johnny Kenny got his first Celtic goal as well. I think it was a remarkable performance given how much that team, basically most of them have never played together. That's whether it be the fringe players like Nawrocki, Jan coming back in for a start, a few changes throughout the team, but I thought they were really good on the night. And then we had trophy day at the weekend, which was a bit flat up until the 93rd minute when James Forrest, written in the stars really, wasn't it, that he would get that goal with the last kick of the league season. It almost felt like we'd won the game because it was him that had scored the goal. A remarkable achievement to score in 16 domestic league seasons on the spin. It'll be a long time, if ever, before we see that feat done again. I think I wish I was there, because everybody I've spoke to has said the noise when the goal went in and then the scenes afterwards were amazing. So I was absolutely gutted that I missed that, not just because it was trophy day, but that was a really special moment and I wish I was there to see it. But going into the game, as I say, tomorrow, hopefully a better performance all round than the 90 minutes last weekend against St Mirren. They did have European football to play for. It was all on the line for them, and they played quite well, as they often do against us, a big physical side that know how to press you, they know how to defend as well, and they made life difficult for us. We weren't quite at our best. Perhaps the occasion, perhaps the trophy day, I don't know, or one eye on tomorrow's game. But whatever the case, in that game tomorrow at Hampden, we have to be at our highest level, and if we can do that, if the players can find within themselves one more high-level performance, they will be treble winners once again. If we talk about Aberdeen's form coming into this game, they have lost their last four. They lost the final 4 league games of the season. 1-0 away at St Mirren, 4-0 away at Ibrox, believe it or not. Then that 5-1 defeat to us and the 2-1 at Tannadice at the weekend. And that game obviously finished with ugly scenes as Jack McKenzie, the Aberdeen defender, was hit by a chair thrown from the Aberdeen end. So it's not been a good end to the season in any way, shape or form, on or off the pitch for Aberdeen. And like I say, the groundswell of opinion in the media and anything that you watch or listen to is that Celtic are going to absolutely wipe the floor with them tomorrow. Like I say, the players and the manager just have to guard against that complacency seeping in. If we can go there and perform to our level, like we know we can, we will win the game. We'll be too strong for Aberdeen, but we can't go into it with that mindset, even subconsciously, that this is going to be an easy afternoon. It's a cup final. They're often scrappy, cagey affairs. There's a lot on the line. Everybody's going to raise their game because it's such a special occasion in their career. That's on both teams, whether it be for us to win a treble or Aberdeen having the chance to compete in a Scottish Cup final. Doesn't come around all too often for them, so we've got to be right at it. We've got to perform to a high level, but like I say, if we do that, we should be too strong for Aberdeen, and we should be celebrating another historic Celtic treble. So let's turn our attention to the starting 11 then. I think Brendan Rodgers does have a few headaches throughout the team. We'll come to them as we go through. Kasper Schmeichel, I think, will start in goals. I think when he first got injured in March, Everybody thought that if he was to play any part this season, it would be towards the end, whether it be Trophy Day and the Scottish Cup final. He came back earlier than expected. He started last weekend, and I expect him to start again tomorrow. Sinisalo's come in and done well. Like I covered last week, I think we've all been impressed by him, and I think he'll play many more games for Celtic in the future. But tomorrow, I expect Casper to play, and it'd be nice to see him cap his first season as a Celtic player with a treble. Back four, Johnson at right back, not long back from injury himself. Carter Vickers as well, who had that hamstring issue where he just sat out 1 or 2 games there. He should be fit and ready to start. I expect Liam Scales will play alongside him. And will it be the final time that we ever see Greg Taylor in a Celtic jersey? Brendan Rodgers was asked about it again in the pre-match press conference for this game. He gave the same answer that he's been given for the best part of 6 months. I don't think there's really any change on it. If you look at Greg Taylor's Instagram post last weekend after Trophy Day, the caption was "Lived it, loved it." That seems like past tense. It seems like a parting comment. So it may well be his final game in a Celtic jersey tomorrow. And if it is to be, let's hope it ends with another trophy, because he has been a good Celtic player, very good. I think he was revitalised when Ange Postecoglou came in, and he went to play in that more inverted role, moving into midfield. I think that you really see a huge growth in him at that point, and then I think he's done really well. So many trophies to his name as a Celtic player, and like I say, if it is to be his last hurrah tomorrow, let's hope he gets another trophy to add to that collection. I'm not sure where it's at in terms of, is it a financial decision for him or for the club? I think the prospect of Kieran Tierney coming back, which we know is confirmed, does change the complexion of it, probably from the club's side of things financially. It's Greg Taylor's peak contract. He's in his peak years, 27, 28. His last chance to get a really big deal. He's been at the club for 5 years. I think probably Celtic are thinking, with the outlay they have to give Kieran Tierney to come back, again, who's a similar age, I don't think they'll be willing to justify 2 what would be first choice salaries for 2 left backs. Now that may be right or wrong. I just don't think it's Celtic-like to do that. If Celtic think they can get another left back in on a lesser contract, and that'll lessen the burden, given what we might be paying Kieran to come back, then I think they're more likely to do that. It could be the case that if Greg got the contract that he wanted, he would have signed it and he would have stayed. He may well be happy to share the minutes with Kieran next season, but I think there's a financial element to it, of course there is, but it doesn't look like anything's going to change on that front. Midfield, Callum McGregor leading the team at Hampden. Once again, what a remarkable record as a Celtic player and as a Celtic captain he has in this stadium in big semi-finals and finals. He has always delivered, and let's hope he can do that again with another top performance tomorrow. Really key player for us. I think we've lavished all the praise on him through the years, and again, like Forrest, who we'll come to in a minute, it may well only be once he starts to get older and wrap up, and once he retires, that we really appreciate the Celtic career that we've watched with Callum McGregor, because he's been so pivotal, such a pivotal member of hugely successful teams, and his record at Hampden and in cup competitions for the club is right up there with the best of them. In front of him in midfield, we know we're missing Rio, which is a huge blow mentally for him, having played every game up into that 5-1 win at Pittodrie. To miss Trophy Day last weekend, you see him on the crutches at the end, covered in the ticker tape and the confetti. A real shame for him that he missed out on that game. And then tomorrow, the showpiece at the end of the season, the chance to win a treble, the Scottish Cup. A real shame that he has to miss that game through injury, but it does present an opportunity for Paulo Bernardo. I expect Engels will obviously start beside him. There's maybe an argument for Luke McCowan to start the game. That wouldn't surprise you at all. You can let me know in the comments if you think McCowan will start, or will it be Bernardo? If you think it will be Luke, why over Paulo? I think he started the game last weekend. Bernardo, I think he'll be keen to show, given that he's missed such a chunk of this season through injury, he'll be keen to show the manager and the supporters what we've been missing this season, and show that he can perform in this big game, and a cup final when it matters for the team. He's missed a lot of football, and like I say, I think most people think he's underrated and think that we know that he can really go and perform, but because he's missed so much football this season, and it's taken him a wee while to get back into the team, certainly into the starting lineups, maybe Hatate's injury has helped him there, but he'll be keen to go and perform tomorrow. Big day for all three of those guys in midfield. Got to make sure that they're strong up against the physicality I'm sure that Aberdeen will offer to the game. And then we come to the front three, where it's probably the biggest headache for Brendan Rodgers, who's going to start on the right-hand side. James Forrest last weekend, we've talked about the remarkable record, the scenes at the end with that goal in the last minute. I think he's played really, really well the last 4 or 5 weeks. I think in that game at Pittodrie, he was so direct, so intent at getting at the full-back and making things happen, laying goals on a plate, laying chances on a plate. I think the goal up to last weekend was the only thing that had eluded him in his positive performances recently. And I think Nicholas Kuhn, I actually expected Forrest to start more often than Kuhn in the last 3 or 4 weeks. While Brendan Rodgers thinks Kuhn is in a good place to start the game, and then again, Jamesy can be that impact player for us in the second half off the bench, I don't know. But I'm just going to go with Forrest to start. I think given how he's played in the last couple of weeks, it's really difficult to make a case for Kuhn to start ahead of him. I think he's been so positive, James Forrest, in the last couple of weeks. Brilliant to see that the scenes and the adulation that he's been getting in the last couple of weeks. That's not always been the case, as we know, through his Celtic career, certainly in the early days, but I think the last 2 years particularly, you think back to last season when he came in and really saved the day for us with his goals towards the back end of last season, where we really needed something to get us over the line, someone to dig us out. He stepped up to do that, and then again this season, even though he missed a chunk through injury after, I think, breaking his ankle in the cup final, he's come back strong, he's performed well. It's great to see the support singing his name, and I think he really deserves that for the service that he's given to the club. And again, I know it's not always been plain sailing, I know he's not always been at the top of his game, he's not always been a player who's been adored by the supporters, but I think that longevity is very, very underrated, and these records, these lists that he's top of, like the most honours, like the number of appearances, high up in that list, goals, assists, that record for scoring in 16 consecutive seasons, all of these things mean that we're going to be talking about James Forrest long after he retires. But let's hope tomorrow he can have another big, impactful performance for us in this cup final. Left-hand side, Daisen Maeda, the player of the season. Let's hope again tomorrow that we're waxing lyrical about him once more. After everything that he's given this season, the goals, the work rate, the assists, he's been incredible. It's by far his best season as a Celtic player. I believe I read that his wife has just given birth to their child as well, so a welcome and deserved break for him after this game. Hard earned, as I say, he's been incredible. Everything that he's given to Celtic, particularly this season, the work rate, the intensity, the desire. We say all the time it's unlike a Celtic player that I've ever seen in my life. I think it's a really unique way to approach things. The desire to work hard is, the capacity to work hard is one thing. Having the desire to constantly work hard in the 90th minute and the 95th minute, regardless of the scoreline, is unique across world football. You watch football all the time, you'll know that a player like that with that desire and that intensity is very, very rare to come across. And I think we're very lucky to have him. Let's hope we do keep him next season. That's one to talk about in the summer, and certainly not one to talk about right now. Let's hope he's got another big performance in him tomorrow. And we finish with Adam Idah, who I expect to lead the line through the middle. Will Aberdeen change their approach? Will they be more aggressive? Will they press us? Will they sit in and try and soak up pressure and hang in the game for as long as they can, with the hope they can nick a goal, be it on the counter-attack or from a set piece? Whatever the case, Adam Idah is going to need to perform well. He's going to need to be a focal point for us. If the ball goes up to him, will it be to beat a press or just to link the game with Aberdeen sitting deep? His touch is going to have to be good. He's going to have to find his teammates, get in the box, be a goal threat. You know that if a chance falls to him, he can put it away. Obviously, in the last few weeks, few months even, you could say a theme throughout the season is that he's maybe not been as ruthless as he was in his loan spell at the back end of last season, but he had a huge, huge moment in the Scottish Cup final last season with that last-minute winner against Rangers. Let's hope tomorrow he has another big moment or two in him. We will remember that goal against Rangers for a long time, and it'd be brilliant to see another one in another Scottish Cup final tomorrow. So that's it for this starting 11 prediction. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Who do you think will start on the right hand side? Should it be Kuhn? Should it be Forrest? Will it be McKeown or Bernardo in midfield? And if you think there's any other debatable areas, centre half maybe, then you can let us know. Like the video. I'll see you tomorrow with all the full-time reaction and the post-match pint from Malone's, wherever you're watching the game around the world. Enjoy it. Let's hope we're celebrating another huge Celtic victory. Thank you.